So before we begin our suppliers section, we'll just go through a quick little update of what we've been doing. So maybe I'll pass it over to Scott to discuss a meeting that we are going to be having later today.
Great. So just to update the group, we were actually successful through our lobbyist grassroots to obtain a meeting today with the office of the finance office, so Minister of Finance. So we actually have a meeting set up with two of the senior policy advisors to Chrystia Freeland. And our focus today is going to be on rent relief and specifically some of the caps that have been assigned to rent relief and just getting clarity on how and when and how quick rent relief can be passed directly to the tenant, but also advocating for those that have been left out of the equation so far. From there, we hope to start to develop a good working relationship with these folks. And then we would set up a future meeting to advocate for, tax incentives, tax breaks, rewards for people who invest in their health. But today's focus, because we only have about half an hour with this group, will be focused on rent relief. So that's what's happening later today.
If there are any comments or questions on this before we begin our supply section.
Yeah, just from the Ontario perspective, we'd asked, there'd been a discussion around asking for, obviously the rent relief, the wage subsidy is something that's important, but there was a request or a discussion between the group around asking for a more direct financial relief in the same way that the restaurant industry has, just with, given that there's been a significant loss in revenue as much as expenses are up. And without some direct financial relief in the forms of like a subsidy or bailout, not just subsidies, but some sort of like bailout or relief package, there could be, obviously significant failure in the industry, which could lead to job loss and other consequences on the economy. Are we doing anything to put that idea forward or engage? Because that's a federal ask more than it is a provincial one. Are we doing anything to push for that or to start that conversation? Because I think that's going to have a more immediate impact for businesses today than a tax credit will.
Yeah, so we're not asking for the tax credit today. So I just want to be clear, that's like down the road. But Nick, you bring up a good point. We will bring up that most facilities that are open are running around 60% revenue. So we will bring up that point. And, we wanted to make sure that we were really focused on the rent relief, but we will bring up the those facilities that are still open are about 60%. So any additional support, such as what's been provided to the restaurant industry, would be prudent. That's a good point. I'll make that note.
And then here on the chat box, there's a couple comments. Dino, other industries get bailouts. We need one more than ever. And Angela, does anyone know how many employed directly by the fitness industry?
We did some back of the napkin math, and we believe there's around, anywhere from 80 to 100,000 people employed directly, indirectly, contractors. So it is a fairly significant amount of people that are impacted through our industry. And we are bringing that up.
One other thing to throw out there from somebody that I talked to at the provincial level in one of the ministries was there are programs out there for job training, innovation, these types of things. So they're probably more of a provincial ask than a federal one. And I need to get some more information about this, is whether, like, for example, in the city of Toronto, you can get a couple $1,000s to help increase your social media and train your staff on how to do it. And there's a $10,000 provincial grant per staff to retrain them for a new skill. So there might be potential there, since everyone's having to shift, to not just the brick and mortar model, but to something that's more online or more hybrid. There could be a potential for funding on training staff and innovation and that type of stuff as well. So I'll try and dig more into that, but that's probably more on a provincial level than the federal level.
Okay.
Great, thank you, everyone. So I'm just checking out Marcy's comment here. Yeah, so the meeting today is going to revolve around the size of the gyms as well. And Chuck from Movati had brought up the fact that clubs sometimes tend to be not big enough to be considered the big, and then not small enough to be considered small. So where do they fit in? So that is one of the discussion points for sure. All right, well, thank you. And then if you have any more comments on this, please feel free to pop them in the chat box and we can get to it that way. All right, so I just wanted to let everyone know, in case you missed the beginning of our meeting, we have our French coalition who created a video that they have put out to really put the urgency to what we are doing to the forefront. I have popped it into the chat box. Take a look at the video. It's only 2 minutes long, but it is a good video to kind of reference in case other coalitions want to create something similar in order to draw urgency to what we are doing as an industry. So with that being said, let's move to our suppliers piece. So our first speaker is Perry. Perry is going to be speaking to us about what software features will maximize your club's profitability during the pandemic. So Perry, I'll let you do an introduction to yourself and then just go on into it. After Perry's little spiel, you will have the opportunity to ask questions. And then after we go through our suppliers, we'll have some open discussion as well. So Perry.
Great. Thank you, Trisha. My name is Perry Tucciarone. I'm the National Director of National Accounts and Business Development for the Antaris MTS Club Management Software System. I'd like to start by thanking Trisha, our, the FIC board, provincial council members, and all the participants in our weekly and provincial coalition calls for their contribution to help the fitness industry this pandemic. It's extremely important to get us through it. Getting into how the software can help with all the additional challenges this pandemic has presented to your business is more important now than ever to utilize the automated features in your software to help reduce costs and increase revenue to maximize your fitness club's profitability. Today's software provides a number of automated features designed to increase your bottom line. In today's format, I'm just going to be able to touch on a number of these items at a high level. As you all know, to start, it is important to keep your members and staff safe and for the clubs to stay open at this time. So I'm sure most of you have already done this already, but as a reminder, utilize technology, build your COVID club protection module around the recommended FIC safety protocol and your local public health safety guidelines. Now to start on features how software can help. First of all, does your software have the ability to automate the front desk services to significantly reduce administrative time and really reduce your front desk payroll? You would be surprised to know how simple it would be to reduce your front desk workload on time-consuming admin tasks if you have software with the functionality to facilitate. So depending on the size of the club, to start, you just need to add a tablet or tablets to mount the front desk with internet access to connect to your software. You want to be able to provide online accounts for your members to provide the ability to offer your choices of admin functionality that your software provides, such as register guests, purchase memberships, admin changes, etc., to have that available for them. This will allow your club the ability to have admin functionality readily available on the front desk tablets, as well as the member or guest personal smartphones, tablets, and desktops. Quick registration is key and to be able to get people started into your sales process quickly. And also want to be able to offer new membership registration as well. The guest would sign in your club's waiver, electronically, so it'll be your club waiver on the tablet. The guest is now in the system and ready for you to implement your guest procedures and sales process. Guests should have the ability to purchase a membership. You can control the memberships available to the guests, based on your system. If the guest is in the system, what's nice, their personal information should be able to be automatically populated to the membership agreement if they purchase that membership. Typically, most guests will need a tour and membership price presentation. This would still be the case. The goal is to incorporate the self-registration into your guest procedure to enhance your sales and guest process. Your members should also be able to facilitate many front desk admin services. For example, personal training clients can securely redeem a training session at the club to ensure session counts are accurate, plus schedule new training sessions. Members can book class times so you can easily manage group classes in their wait list. Allow members to pay outstanding accounts and update their billing information. You can make paperless selected admin requests available. The admin change is only a request which adheres to your club rules and policies. The member would automatically be emailed the request. However, the request would be reviewed and approved by the club. An example of this is at selective, you would probably allow a time stop to be, administered online, but you probably would not allow a membership cancellation because you'd want the opportunity to speak to that member to try resolve the issue, try to save that cancellations. We do recommend members have paperless access to all their paperwork to minimize admin time when members have questions. And that way you don't run into the situation they say, I do not have my receipt or contract. The member in the club would also have quick access to all the information. An example of how improved efficiency by implementing this process has affected some of our clients. We have big box clients who now need one receptionist at prime time. We'll have a number of boutique clients who can better manage admin when having only one staff member at the club. So with a tablet and a comprehensive member portal, you can automate your front desk work, allow front desk staff to focus on safety protocols and customer service. The streamlining of operations will deliver immediate cash flow improvements to your business. Now, second component, it's also important to optimize your club marketing with targeted marketing campaigns with targeted promotions to significantly boost sales. You need to be sure to include links to any online purchases where applicable, depending on the campaign you're putting out. So one aspect is your mass marketing. You manage your ongoing email blast promoting custom offers to leads, previous members, and current members. You can seamlessly set up follow-up SMS advertising to increase each offer's appeal. You have the option for renewal marketing. This will allow you the opportunity to boost membership sales by targeting expired and expiring members with customized offers. You can offer automated notifications to members with expiring PT packages. So for example, you set the parameters. So when a package is down to whatever, 1, 2, 3 sessions, whatever you select, your system may be able to automatically send a message, email or SMS or both to the member, let them know that, hey, they only have 3 sessions left. Please, you can click on this link to renew your package or contact your trainer or health center manager. And this can also be sent to the health center managers. They're on top of any type of PT packages that are expiring. Also, the ability to on-site marketing with automated messaging at the check-in. So do you have the ability to, when a member checks in, have an automated text or email sent to them at check-in to promote some internal promotions that you have going on? For example, you can increase PT and class package sales by incentivizing new members to book consults when checking in. You can effectively advertise what your current at-club promotions are upon member visits. So having this technology at your disposal and have it automated and customized to what your needs are can make a big difference to boosting your sales, especially during these troubling times. Another aspect, are you using automated tools to improve your cash flow from EFT bank and credit card billing? Our tracking shows by implementing a systematic series of scheduled auto notifications into your accounts receivable recovery process by email, SMS, auto dialer, and other means, plus automated scheduled resubmits of outstanding and successful payments will result in a significant increase in cash flow. With proper implementation, your members will know you're on top of your accounts receivable and learn you know exactly when any payment has failed. The result is a decrease in unsuccessful EFT payments each month, which is your return rate, plus an increase in your accounts receivable recovery from current failed EFT payments. You can further increase cash flow by enabling your members to use their online account to pay their arrears and update their billing information. You also want to check to see if your software has the ability to automatically schedule a date to retry failed credit card payments. Automatically send automated credit card expiry notifications to pre-notified customers to update their expired credit cards. Does the system automatically post notes of any follow-up activity in the member's profile as a reference when you speak to the reference? So in closing, these are just a number of tools, or many more, that will help streamline your business, reduce your admin time, and deliver immediate cash flow improvements to help you run your business effectively. You need to check to see if your software has the necessary components to reduce operating costs, plus mass marketing tools to increase sales, resulting in the increased cash flow necessary for long-term growth. That's just a brief version of some tips that you can help you. So I'm open to any questions at this point.
Thanks, Perry. If anybody has any questions for Perry. So Perry, what I'll ask you to do is if you have some key tips, if you can maybe just pop them into the chat box. And Dino just mentioned that he also uses your program, so feel free to ask Dino as well if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, likewise on that, Trisha. I've used Perry's platform now for a number of years through a number of different facilities at various capacities. So I'm happy to help out with that as well.
Great, thank you.
This is Mario, by the way. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Mario and Dino. I appreciate that. And I will put some information into the chat.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Perry. And then if you can send me a couple notes, I can send that out to the group as well.
I will do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so let's go to Nasser. Thank you, Nasser, for joining us today. So Nasser is going to be talking about protecting your assets and costs of ownership. How can you prepare your equipment so that your members feel comfortable using them? And I know that is one of the hot topics right now, especially if clubs are closed, not knowing what to do with your equipment. So Nasser, if you could please do an introduction to yourself and then go on.
All right, hello everyone. Good morning, depending where you are, good afternoon. My name is Nasser. I'm the president for JHT Fitness Canada, also known as Matrix Fitness, is our commercial and home use brands. And I've been on the calls all along during COVID and before COVID. First of all, thank you all for your participation. And you know, we're all in this together as an industry. With our sales team across Canada, we have received different questions from different owners. We kind of compiled it together, and today's presentation, or today's just topic, is about really on the equipment side, preparing you to reopen, whether you know, you're closed and you're reopening, or you're closed due to government regulations, or you're running in the government manner. So I'm going to actually share with you my screen. I'll be able to send you this presentation as well, and we'll be also give you a link of where you can get more resources. So I think everyone can see the screen there. So we're all facing this together here in Canada. So there's only 3 scenarios. You're open and with certain restrictions, or you're closed because of the regulations, or you're preparing to reopen. So the biggest question that we have, or the one that we're focusing on today, 3 questions that I'll run through on a higher level, and then I'll be opening up to questions that you may have. So how can I take care of my equipment while I'm closed? You know, it's using that time that you can potentially move your cardio equipment around, or rotation. And the main thing here is about cost of ownership and making sure that you're utilizing your machines. So moving the cardio pieces around and swapping the locations is critical, so that we make sure that we're using all the machines equally. Parts that we manufacture our machines with are engineered to move. So when you're not using your machines, they're made to move, right? So it's when your car is parked for some time and your tires deflate on their own. When the machines are not used, they also get a little bit tough. So one of the things is, you know, for the bearings on the treadmill, for example, or the tension bands, how do we keep those things moving? Cables on selectorized machines that are self-lubricated cables, how do we keep them soft and in motion? So one of the things is just to keep them moving every once in a while during the time that you're closed. 3 is hiring a qualified technician or a third-party service company that can help you support with your common issues while you're closed, to make sure that you're maintaining your equipment while you're closed. But we also recommend having an agreement while you're open as well. A deep clean and bragging about it, you know, to take actual pictures and videos on social media to show that you are going inside your machines to clean them up and vacuum those motors. For example, the dust that sits underneath the machines, that you're actually videoing that and bragging about it, that you're taking these precautions so that you are cleaning your machines inside and outside. Another question that we have is how can we prepare ourselves for reopening? And it's all about social distancing, allowing your customers to feel comfortable, moving things around so that you can have the social distancing. So we have the placement and usage of the equipment is key, and ideal distancing protocols. The creation of exercise pods is an idea that we're presenting, where you can move certain equipment around and put them in a certain area while social distancing, so that you don't have in every corner of your facility a little pod. So we have one pod, and then everywhere else is the limited number of people. You can have them still, so you can do your you can do your online training, their booking, but you also have your small pods inside your gym. Operational checks. So we can recommend advance notice of government approved go ahead to open, to have your staff do a thorough operational check of all the machines. We actually have on our website, which I'll share the link with you, all the different checkpoints that you would take with your technician or your sales staff or yourself to get those machines operational checked. And technology is an often overlooked feature. But if you're connected to the internet, the Wi-Fi could drop, the hard lines connection sometimes drops. So you got to make sure that all your machines and operational and your technology inside your facility is up and running, and you're prepared for that. How can I keep my equipment clean and my members comfortable while using the equipment? So equipment cleaning is a big topic, and we have the issue of disinfectants and what can I use and what are the different things that I need to use. You have to be careful on spraying on your touch screens because of the electricity that's in there. So liquid to water or water to electricity doesn't help. So you got to be careful. There's certain products that you can use that are COVID approved as well for disinfectant. So we have that information available on our website, but your equipment providers would have that for you. Cardio equipment, technology, and signage. So a lot of the technology out there now in the cardio equipment, for us, it's also on the strength equipment. You can actually have a message on your consoles about social distancing, about keeping the place clean, and reminding messages that we're all in this together. And we do have some samples also on our website, a sample like this, welcome back, and just reminders, maintain 6 feet distance, clean the equipment before and after you use it, avoid touching your face, and be kind and courteous to one another. So we have a list of samples that you can use for signage that you can actually put on the machines, in the consoles, or as placards. And then finally, it's trying something new. As we all know, the COVID pandemic is changing daily, and it's different for different provinces. But it's realizing the equipment function and cleanliness is only part of the entire picture, but it is still very critical to advertise that all your club's efforts, making the experience as comfortable and worry-free for your members as possible. So from an equipment supplier standpoint, we're always available to help with additions of equipment, if that's feasible. But there are other ways, that you can inquire with us or your dealers to come by and offer workshops to bring your staff up to speed on equipment function and cleaning the procedures. If equipment in the club requires repair or preventative maintenance, that's something that you can use as downtime or to make sure that your equipment is clean and ready to reopen. Again, we offer branded signages for you. We have a template that you can go in and you can edit it with your own brand. So we can support you with that. And then taking advantage of financing and leasing options if it's critical to add more equipment, or you want to upgrade your equipment, older equipment that you want to sell back or offer up for sale, and then put in new equipment. So I'll be sharing with you on the chat box here this presentation. We do have a total solutions support on our website that you can log in and have all the information you need, a checklist with all the things that you need to go through. quickly here, for each product and what you need to do. And one of the things that make sure your HVAC or your AC or your heating system is up 48 hours before you open your gym. That's to control the usage of the consoles and be feeling comfortable. And then we have a specific by cardio machine or strength machines and all the different things that you need to do. So yeah, I mean, it's taking care of your assets, it's taking care of the machines, but also making your customers and clients feel comfortable that you've done the work, you've cleaned the machines, you have policies in place. We just have to be careful as to moving the equipment around at the right time, making sure your cables are connected, you're powered up, you have self-powered cycles, for example, or self-powered machines. You need to get the machines up and running, so you need to get your battery readjusted. You need to get your times on the battery up and running, so it needs to regenerate power. But yeah, those we'll have any questions, and we have you can ask me for access, and I will send that all to you. Thank you.
Hi, Nasser. Just a question here. How have we been handling the shortages and shipping and equipment? I find that there's been a real dearth of availabilities. Are you having any supply chain issues affecting you?
Yes, I mean, major supply chain issues across the globe. For us, particularly on the Matrix products, we're okay. Because we don't really deal on the accessories side. We're focused, as a manufacturing company, we manufacture our own product. It's about the supply chain of what we need to build our machines. For Johnson, for Matrix, all the key components are made in-house. Slight delays on accessories like band pegs that we would put on a rack. But the demand for home use is huge. So keeping up with that has been a challenge. But on the commercial level, no. For us in particular, we haven't had any issues. So we're just talking based on forecast. The difficulty is in forecasting and having, when is the site going to be ready? And if it's going to be ready, then it changes all the time. But yeah, we're on the commercial fitness equipment, whether it's cardio or strength, we have the stock.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark. Any other questions? I'll share with you on the chat here our resources that you can access, which is just particular for support on the fitness equipment. All right, thank you.
All right, great. Thank you so much. If there are any questions for Nasser, and I will also send out Nasser's presentation, as well as I'll provide the email addresses for the speakers today as well, so that you can directly connect if you do have follow-up questions. All right, thank you so much, Nasser. So our next speaker here is going to be from Club Automation, and they're going to be speaking to us about strengthening member engagement, the solutions you need to connect with your community. So a very, very important topic that, especially in the time of the pandemic. So if we can get Club Automation to step in.
Hey, thanks, Trisha. And just want to say I've had an opportunity to listen in on a number of the FIC meetings and have been incredibly impressed by the work you're doing. As a kind of a context, I'm also on a number of task force for URSA, including working directly with Brent Darden, the new CEO of URSA. So just excited about what you guys are doing in the industry to help, and happy also to, in the Q&A, to if there's any questions about URSA and some things that are happening in the US, to answer that as well. So, but again, my name is Jeff Van Dixhorn. I am a co-founder of Club Automation, and currently I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for the Club division of Daxco, so which includes core platforms, CSI Spectrum, MotionSoft, Rec Automation, and Club Automation. So all of those platforms, we've definitely felt the impact of COVID, and we're a leading provider of software services over multiple segments in the US, and also a strong presence in Canada. most particularly with CSI Spectrum and MotionSoft. But as you may have recently heard, we have now launched club automation into the Canadian market, which we're really, really excited about. So as Trisha mentioned, we are going to talk a little bit about engagement in our communities. And this is something that, from the beginning, my background is as a club owner, and engaging in our communities, creating community really in our clubs is always been critical. And I think we're finding that obviously during COVID, it's even more critical, and the challenges around doing that. So we're going to talk a little bit about just some of the things that we're seeing in the market and we're doing. And so I'll pass it over to Marissa and Jordan to just do a brief overview of that.
Hey guys, Marissa Myers, the market manager for Club Automation. And yeah, thanks for the intro, Jeff. So I'll be talking a little bit more about communication here, and I can definitely start. We all know that nurturing community is key to growth and success. But with the uncertainty of our current climate, the closure, reopenings, and unfortunately in some cases, just the reclosure of many clubs, many are asking, what can we do to keep our members engaged and our community connected? The answer is communication. Communication is key, as I'm sure you guys know, and just kind of going through this whole COVID. The most successful club operators are the ones that communicate effectively to their members inside and outside of their clubs. But the old practice of blanket communication, mass emails, direct mail is no longer enough. The table stakes for communication have risen drastically, and your members expect both personalization and convenience. So how can we deliver this? That's the main question here. Let's talk first about communicating inside your facility by nurturing your micro communities. So micro communities exist within every health and wellness facility. These are groups of members that always attend your yoga classes or book time in your spa. They play doubles in your tennis courts. These are your regulars. Communication and connection with these micro communities is absolutely critical to strengthen your overall community, especially now. Your club management platform should be able to help you speak to these audiences and personalize your communication as a whole. Your platform should be able to tell you what your members are interested in, either through your information that you're gaining or just through better looking at the ways that they're participating in your club and really utilizing your club. You can use this information to create a connection point with your members, to more effectively engage with them, with targeted audiences in general, and then to promote new and existing programs you guys have in place. So your members have to come to expect a seamless experience inside your facility, but we also want to cover the outside of your facility and how you're communicating with members. A great way to encourage engagement with your members is by effectively communicating with them even when they're not in your club. Especially in a time of less frequent face-to-face interaction and these closures that may be going through, one of the best ways to do that is with a mobile app. Jordan, do you want to jump in and tell us a little bit more about the mobile app?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, so we saw a massive surge in the need of self-service tools more than ever, right? And so we actually saw a lot of clubs coming saying, hey, we need to update our liability waivers. What do you have for us? And so we're able to put together a solution that allows clubs to be able to send a virtual waiver. The members then sign it, view it, return it. It gets updated on their profile. But beyond that, members want to be able to continue to register for classes, programs, reserve that tennis court, reserve a swim lane. In addition to that, they want to add themselves to a wait list, right? We see that now we have a lot of capacity restrictions across clubs all over, and the need for wait lists in a gambit of opportunities across your club is super important. Maybe that's even putting yourself on a wait list for a treadmill. Those types of offerings we all serve on the Club Automation app. And of course, your regular items, right? Being able to view your statement, being able to pay your bill, being able to even buy packages on the app as well to continue with personal training. All those types of things are super intentional when it comes to reopening your club to provide those self-service tools to your members. But one thing that we saw more than anything was there's actually been a 20% increase in open rates for push notifications since the pandemic. So we saw that number and we said, okay, we need to reply with intuitive, enticing push notifications that can be done in mass, but also done on an individual by individual basis. So maybe it's specifically a group even, hey, send a push notification to the people that are your regular yoga attendees, or send it to the people that are your regular tennis players. We're seeing now more than ever that clubs need to also communicate protocols, right? So, hey, just to let you know, we just finished cleaning our equipment, and then you send a push notification reminding your members of that information. So the desire now to have information at the fingertips of club members is greater than ever. And now through push notifications, clubs are given the opportunities to be accurate and continually inform their members at all times. Marissa?
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. So these are just a couple ways that we've seen a lot of clubs that we've worked with and how we're trying to help really kind of drive communication amongst their members and community. I did want to leave it short for any questions. Do you guys have any questions about club automation, about these tools we have? I'm happy to open the floor.
Great, thank you, Marissa. If anybody has any questions, I think you've kind of nailed it in your presentation when you mention that it's all about the connection. And I know a number of our members have been really focused on making sure that they are connecting with their audience, their members, those who they are trying to recruit. And it's one of those important moments that you want to make sure that you do have that sustainability where you are cultivating members continuously still, even if you are closed. Are there any comments from any club owners on this topic? Or anything that you are doing in order to engage with your client base? Angela?
I don't know. Yeah, I prefer to call and I did during our lockdown, I called pretty much my members on weekly, and actually had a longer work day than I have now. And those where I knew that were elderly living on their own. I mean, it's a small club, so it's not. It's much easier than to do with like any of the big box gyms. But like Dino says in the chat box there, I think my members would basically cancel based on all the emails. Yeah, if I would send consistently email, they would cancel and they would say, "Well, I'm going somewhere else." We have pretty much done, it's very personalized, and the only one thing we have done now, and I think will be put together, we made also a video with all our procedures. So we have, which will be, that video will be soon on our website, and we will go over social media and link it to the website. It's a 5-minute video. What we do when you come in, from the moment you come in, there's free masks, there's hand sanitizer, where the bottles are, where water bottles are, and all of this. And communication is key, but I think it has to be more personalized than, especially at this moment. And even like just going to a regular group of yogis or whatever to tell them, I just have to pick up the phone. I understand it's not possible for a gym which has, you know, like 500-600 members, but for us smaller gyms, it has to be more personalized than that.
Yeah, Angela, I'd love to add on to that, because I could not agree with you more. And so in essence, I think where we get turned off on communication is on the mass emails that don't apply to people. So as Jordan talked about, you know, really working on targeting the communication around groups that it's relevant to and based on things that they're asking for, right? So giving them also easy ability to turn off or on communications around different types of messages that they're receiving. You actually touched on something else, which is not technology driven, but it does definitely, this personalization has a huge impact. It's the calling. So I'll tell you about a really large club, Fitness Formula Clubs in Chicago, Gail Landers, very large group. And after every member returns for their first visit, they are actually getting a personal phone call with that member on the phone. How was your visit? Even in a massive club organization like that, and there's a lot of visits, they found that to be tremendously effective, because those people then go and talk to their friends. So it's not just the person they're talking to, right? It's then that person who has a community at the club reaching out and spreading that message. So it is a little bit of hand-to-hand combat right now, and it does work.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing with us today. and we will try and provide more information and connect you to our members. So thank you for that. Let's go on to Nick, who's going to be sharing with us online options and innovation, developing new revenue streams for your club.
Okay, thanks, Trisha. I think most of you know me here on these calls, talk enough about different stuff and organize the Ontario Coalition. But today I'm going to speak a little bit more about, what I work on mostly on the day-to-day and more my passion, which is innovating in your business and how to drive new revenue streams into your club, especially looking at online options. So for one, when I do run my company Trainer Plus, and so we have a platform that it allows you to engage for content and support for personal training, be able to push out content and support and engage people in new ways and have a new relationship through technology, both in person and online with people. So that's what our technology does. But I'm going to talk a little bit in more generalities today. Obviously, a lot of the things I'll talk about we can facilitate, but you can also facilitate in other ways and with other tools as well. So I'll try and keep it pretty general. Realistically, I've been hearing this a lot over these last 9 months, more so than ever before, because people are moving online and there's just so many questions about how do I do this? What services do I offer? How do I price them? How do I package them? It's the number one question I get. I probably handle 2 calls a day with a customer directly and talk it through with them about their specific business and what they can do. So I do have a few visuals to sort of support this, and I'm going to keep things at a very high level through this presentation, but just so everyone knows, I've started a series of videos that's about all of these topics that dives more in depth into this. So if you do look at our YouTube channel, I'll share it probably next week when we have a few more of those videos up. You can dive more into each one of these topics sort of on its own. So just starting with, I'm just going to share my screen here. So just looking at the why this is necessary, hopefully everyone can see that. I'll minimize that. So if we just look at some of the economic realities right now facing gyms, this is like what a very general pie chart looked like pre-pandemic. So, most of your revenue is coming from membership, personal training, maybe some product sales. That matrix was a little bit different if you've got clinic services, if you're more of a PT boutique. And then of course, on your expense side, you had, mostly staffing was the biggest expense. And then you have all the other operating expenses, rent, equipment, cleaning, all that stuff. So this was sort of it. If your chart on the left was bigger than your chart on the right, that was where your profit was coming from. And then we get into this reality now, right? Which is a lot of your members are frozen. So a lot of that's affected, eaten into the PT, eaten into the membership sales. It's probably even a bigger chart of this. You're probably at most people are about 60% revenue right now, whereas the expense side of things has gone up. So, the cleaning's gone up, you're having to staff more in the club and everything else. And so now it's been a lot tougher to actually get a profit. But the question comes from what do you do to fill this gap? And I think a lot of the efforts have been on obviously retaining as many members as possible with whatever you're doing, and, trying to get people off of freeze. The reality is that it's very tough to attract new members unless there's market dynamics that are working in your favor in your area. And most likely you have saturated the available market near to you if you've done a decent job marketing your club. So the question is how do you fill that gap, looking outside of the traditional things you sold? And just for some reference, it's about 17.2% of people that have a gym membership. So what we focus on a lot of is, one, how you can drive more revenue from that 17%, but also how you can reach out to the other 83% of the market, which isn't currently engaged in a club. So what we are looking at now is looking at how you fill this gap with new services and mostly online, number one, and also reach out to new markets outside of your given club. So if we look at I'm going to get a little bit economic-y here. If we just look at like a basic supply demand curve about the different stuff that's there, this is your basic curve. You've got demand for stuff here, supply for stuff on the blue line, and where those two meet, you've got the quantity and the given market price. So I'm going to just go through, bring your shared window to the front. Okay. It's asking me to change what I'm sharing. Can you guys see the chart I've got here?
Now we can.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, so if we look at different options that people are going to, and I just want to go through a little bit of the economics of, you know, online content, streaming, virtual training, some of the stuff that people have sort of traditionally shifted to. So if we look first at, oh, great. No, there we go. Online content. So just putting out content like about nutrition, about workouts, general videos. You know, some people are trying to monetize this, but realistically with the pandemic, we've seen a huge increase in the amount of this content that's out there, which means if you were charging for it before, you know, it's driven the price down and you're very, very competitive on this space. And you're competing with, you know, all the free content that's out there on YouTube, all the stuff that's out there on Facebook, Instagram, content aggregators that are having experts put out content. So this is something that I think is very difficult to monetize, but something that's necessary to do in order to retain members, keep people engaged as a value add, and also generate new leads. Streaming classes, this is another one that a lot of people have moved to, but we've heard a lot of people having trouble monetizing this and definitely scaling this because, again, there's a huge amount of quantity that's come out with this stream classes. And now you're looking at competing with people like Peloton and very soon Apple and all the major chains that have started to stream content, especially the bootcamp places. So there's a hugely competitive market for this, which has, one, put the price of this down. So if you're trying to charge your membership fee for stream class content, you're now competing with a $9.99 Apple streaming fee or the $39 Peloton one or other ones that are in that price range of like $5 to $30 or $40. So the price has come down. Even though the demand has gone up, the demand has not gone up as much as the supply has gone up in the market. So again, you've got a very competitive market. I think this is a great tool to retain your members, but in order to drive new revenue, it's very difficult. Virtual training, again, it's a good way of retaining, but difficult to drive. And then we look at another thing with programming. So this is a service where you offer a consult and a program and oversight over that program. And this is something that lots of people want, but not a lot of people are doing. So we see there's a big market opportunity here. Just going back, one thing about doing new services is people are always asking me how you do this. And I can tell you right now, it's something that's very difficult to innovate and you're going to fail the first time you do it. You're never going to get it right. So to be able to take a lean mindset on that in terms of how you can put something out, you know, build something, put it out there, learn from it, you know, measure how it's working and then learn from it and then iterate, sorry. So the key here is how fast you can get that feedback loop moving and get that sort of lean startup mindset. This is the way products are built in Silicon Valley. Marketing things are built in any big company. So just getting into a mindset where you are actually building something, you're getting it out there, learning from a smaller group, taking that information and feeding it and then continuing that feedback loop. That's the key to these new services. You're never going to get it right the first time. I see people get so discouraged when they put something out as an online service and it doesn't work or they don't get the traction they need and then they kind of give up right away. But you've got to have that expectation that it's not going to work perfectly and you've just got to be willing to experiment and learn and fail and learn again until you get it right and then you can scale it. So looking at having a service mix, which is between very low cost or free content and streaming to having lower cost services like programming or something like that from a trainer all the way up to training and virtual training. Having that range of services gives you an ability to reach out to a lot larger marketplace. And three things I just want to touch on really, really quickly. Running challenges. I've seen a lot of success in people running challenges, those 4 to 6 week challenges. Running them at a low cost to your existing member base, but it's also a great way of attracting new people. And if you've got a mix of services like, you know, programming and training, there's a lot of opportunity to upsell at the end of those 4 to 6 weeks, or offer a hybrid of like, here's our challenge if you're just doing classes, but here's our challenge if you've got classes and a trainer's checking in with you each week, and stuff that can have a little bit of a more medium price point. So having a bigger mix and running those challenges is a great way of generating revenue, but also generating leads and then having a more long-term conversation about how to convert them afterwards, especially if you have that service mix. Two markets that people are talking a lot about, corporate wellness and healthcare. I think these are massive opportunities for gyms right now, but you really have to understand that selling to those markets is very different than what you've traditionally sold to your clubs. So selling to traditional fitness people, it's a very different value proposition. On the corporate wellness side, HR representatives are looking for something that is free and low cost, that they can very easily just get to people. The easier it is for them to click something and get it to people as a starting point, the better. And they also are looking at something that's more, most of their employees don't necessarily have a whole bunch of disposable income for personal training, not necessarily membership either. So having something that's a lower cost, lower involvement service to get them started and can be more universally beneficial. So whether they work out at home, whether they work out at your gym, whether they work out at another gym, you have to be able to provide that, satisfy that value proposition to somebody on the corporate wellness side of things. They're more likely to want to go with your offer and offer it to everybody. And then if you can get them in on something, then they see the value and might be able to upgrade them to another service. So just understanding that that market is a very different approach than what you've sold to in the past and selling to your people. Same with healthcare. Healthcare is a very, very different value proposition. What healthcare professionals are looking for, they're very wary of pushing people to gyms, quite frankly, because they don't know what they're going to get, and they don't necessarily want people to be sold a big package or pushy sales or anything like that. There's a lot of pushback I hear from healthcare professionals on that front. So again, being able to approach them with something that is a starting point, that is like a free consultation, and having lower cost options, because a lot of that sedentary population is not experienced in the gym. They don't necessarily have a lot of a disposable income for personal training, even though a lot of them need help. So you need to find ways of being able to help them and communicate to the healthcare professions that you're going to take a long-term approach to their goals. The biggest gap there is that, we're a very profit-driven, sales-focused industry. Healthcare is very evidence-based, patient-centered, and it's long-term behavior change focused. So you have to figure out how to appeal to those sensibilities in healthcare in order to engage and be able to get, reference from that market. And then you can, access a lot bigger client base there. So again, it's very, very high level today. I strongly recommend, I know everyone's got a lot of energy that they're putting into the fight you have for your business in terms of with government, with everybody else. I really strongly encourage you to spend some of that energy, or as much of that energy, looking at your own business and how you can innovate and how you can adapt, because the reality is that we're not sure what the future is going to hold. We're not sure what's going to happen in January when annual memberships come up, whether there'll be more closures, whether there'll be more restrictions. So the thing you have to look at is how you can future-proof your business, how you can look at moving away from a strictly access membership-based and personal training session-based model into something that is more of a hybrid that works both for your brick and mortar business, but also online. So whether you have to go offline, whether you have to be closed or open, these services work across the board. Things like programming can work in person, but it can also work online. And that way you're increasing the overall size of the market that you can reach out to. And with that, you can generate more sales in general. So again, it's a very high level. Each one of these 6 topics, I dived into more in about a 20-minute video each. On our YouTube channel, which I'll share the links to. And if people do want to talk to me just in general about innovating, different things you're thinking and trying and may or may not work, I'm always open to hop on a call for 30 minutes and listen about what your business does and give some feedback from my perspective, from what I've seen work and not work in general in moving online. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Nick. Do we have any questions for Nick? Well, if they come up, feel free to ask. So we do have a couple more minutes.
I don't have a question. I just want to let the group know. So we've had some of our trainers work with us during the closure online, built actually a pretty impressive online business. When we reopened, they retained most of that business and are now the hybrid. The trainers that came back after we opened really haven't adopted the same mindset. And one of the things I've been preaching is that online training isn't really an option. You really need to embrace it and learn it. And, if we're forced to close again, God forbid, we at least know how to pivot this time versus last time it was like, let's scramble and figure this out. The other thing I'll just share is we've had many trainers who've had a full day booked and then, their kid has a runny nose, or they have a client who has a runny nose. So you have a really great day planned and then everything goes completely sideways. What do you do? And the ones that have embraced online training pivot quickly and they can still continue their day. They can still make income. And those that haven't pivoted don't. And so to me, the message to my personal trainers is this is as important to your business now as asking for referrals. Right. So really, you got to really start to embrace this. I know it's uncomfortable. You're learning new technology. You're learning new ways to do things. It isn't the way it's always happened. But honestly, if you're not doing it, you're not seeing the forest through the trees.
And I can say that I've seen the trainers adapt very quickly through the pandemic. A lot of trainers just made that shifted mindset. And I've seen a lot of people not only retain their business, but actually grow their business and even grow their business significantly over the last 9 months. Gyms have not, but that's not been the case. Gyms have been very, very, very slow to adopt in general and move. And I understand there's a lot of other concerns that gym owners and managers have. And it's a business model that you're very used to, and it's scary and all that other stuff. But, you know, I just, again, focusing on control can control, and you're gonna have to, you know, innovate and adapt your business one way or the other. So I just strongly encourage it. And Scott, it's yeah, hearing gyms that have done it and get success, it's at the trainer level. It's really interesting to see.
Great, thank you, everyone. So we will wrap up our meeting for today, and I want to thank everybody who shared with us today. Thank you for all the information you provided, your inspiring words, and the ability to connect with you further. And we'll do another session like this later next month. So next week's meeting is going to be a national meeting that we have where we will go through what we do when we go through provincially. And then by next week, we know that we will be finding out more information on government information when it comes to rent relief, and more information is going to be coming up there. So we will be able to share that with the group, as well as any other provincial updates that we will have. So that being said, thank you everybody for joining us today, and we will make sure that we connect again very, very soon. And everybody who was on today, if you can provide me with information to share out, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.